Yeah, there's no other relationship in my life that has the power behind the I'm grateful message than it does when you speak it to me.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because it just makes me feel like I'm showing up well. I'm providing, I'm helping, I'm supporting, I'm doing what you need me to do. And you know what? At the end of the day, I really love being able to do that. Welcome to the Blended Family Coaching Show, where you'll discover how to move your step family from just surviving to truly thriving.
Grab your headphones and listen in as we share practical, real-life strategies for building healthy bonds,
Understanding the kids' perspective,
romance and partnership,
parenting with great teamwork,
and yes, even co-parenting with a difficult ex.
We're Mike and Kim Anderson, and we believe with the right tools, every step couple can overcome the common challenges of step family life.
Join us for authentic and sometimes comical conversations to discover how you can lead your family with confidence and create the future you really want.
Well, hey, welcome to the Blended Family Coaching Show. We're always so excited to be joining you every week on Tuesday morning right here on the show. Yeah. And if this show's bringing value, would you share it out on your social media? It could be that some of your friends, some of your followers might benefit from this kind of support because they're probably living in a blended family as well, because they're more and more prevalent as we continue to learn. So maybe there's a particular episode that's really valuable to you. We would love for you to share that out there and tell your friends about it. So we would appreciate that. And of course, as always, if you could leave us a rating or a review on the platform that you listen on that allows for that, we would so appreciate that as well. Well, this coming week is a day to celebrate.
Yep.
A day to celebrate our dads, our fathers, and our stepfathers. And I don't know if you agree with this, honey, but I think stepdads and biodads are sometimes the least encouraged and under-resourced leaders in our culture.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be hard to find resources for these guys who shoulder some challenging responsibilities when it comes to caring for families.
Especially blended families.
Yeah. And I know it's a little bit overgeneralized, but a lot of guys go out there and work to provide for everybody's needs in their own home. And beyond that, many of us who are in blended family life are even providing for kids in another home, right? And financially in some way or another. And, stepdads sometimes are caught between really wanting to love and support their stepkids while trying to hold back just enough so that they're not a threat to the kid's bio dad or things like that. And sometimes that makes them in that position of being a stranded stranger, kind of feeling like a third wheel, not really sure where they belong. They're shouldering some crazy stuff sometimes. Yeah. And then bio dads in blended families, they're kind of caught between wanting to make the kids happy and wanting to make their wife happy. And they're in that trapped teammate scenario that we've talked about plenty of times on the show. And they're kind of stuck in the middle, kind of that rope in a tug of war being pulled in two different directions and feeling like they just can't win.
Yeah.
Right.
They just want everyone to be happy. But no matter what decision they make, someone's going to be disappointed.
Absolutely. And the other thing I think we find is that the more and more people we work with is there are a lot of dads out there who are both a stepdad and a bio dad in a complex blended family because he brought kids and she brought kids. And so now he's vacillating between these two roles on a daily basis in a lot of ways.
And he wants to show up well for everyone.
That's right. And often we're just trying to keep up. So dads, if you can relate to any of that, today is all about you as we head toward Father's Day weekend. We want to celebrate you and give a little bit of encouragement along the way. And here's who we're actually really talking to today. It's the women in these guys' life. Yep. I know that Father's Day is a time for kids and stepkids, hopefully, to honor dad, honor stepdad, in whatever way that looks for you as a family. But I specifically want to talk to the ladies in the guy's life who have an opportunity that you may not even recognize. Yeah. And so we're going to dive into some of that today and talk about 3 specific messages that you might be able to send when it comes to Father's Day.
Absolutely.
To your husband, to your man. Yeah.
And we know, ladies, we should know this anyway, that one of the top needs that men have is the adoration of their wife. Yeah. And Dr. Willard F. Harley Jr. identifies this in his book that's called His Needs, Her Needs.
Oh, yeah. That's a great book.
Yeah, it really is. And Dr. Harley states that admiration not only motivates, it also rewards the husband's existing achievements. When she tells him that she appreciates him for what he has done, it gives him more satisfaction than he receives from his paycheck. A woman needs to appreciate her husband for what he already is, not for what he could become if he lived up to her standards.
Oh, ouch.
And I would add, and her expectations.
Yeah. I would be willing to bet that there was a season in our marriage where you really wanted me to live up to your expectations and standards more than what I just was at the time.
Absolutely.
And I bet it was hard to love me in that season.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar to loving a child who's behaving poorly,
that kind of, the reason that makes me laugh is I remember right leading up to our wedding. Do you remember that little comment I made to you? Oh, I said, I'm sorry if you feel more like you've adopted a kid than married a husband.
Well, there were times.
Hopefully there still are times with my childlike behavior.
Yeah. But one of the things we coach parents around parenting is look for the good that your child does. Even if there's 100 things that you think need to be improved or that they're not doing well, really look hard and find those little things or big things that they are doing well and praise them. Let them know you notice, you see they're making an effort instead of always just harping on the negative. It's like the 5-to-1 ratio is what we coach. 5 positive comments to 1 negative comment.
Absolutely.
And I think that applies to our husbands as well.
Because we're just big kids. Right? I think it's true. And this book by Willard Harley, it's a great book. In fact, we were given it as a gift early. 20 years ago when we first got married. And this book, really, it's stood the test of time. But something that I would change a little bit about what Dr. Harley states in this book, and that is I would use the word affirmation rather than admiration.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily connect with the word. I don't connect with needing you to admire me. And that might be because of the way I interpret the word admiration. But I definitely connect with the fact that I need you to affirm me.
You want to be affirmed and appreciated and noticed.
Yeah.
For what you're bringing to the table every day.
Absolutely.
And for your contributions.
Yeah. And I think it's stronger in some men than it is in others.
Right.
But I think it's present. And, the way Gary Chapman would call it is words of affirmation is one of the 5 love languages. Right. And he says we all need all 5, but many of us lean into 1 or 2.
Right.
And I've met a lot of guys who really, even though they wouldn't necessarily say it, they want to maintain the strong silent type. I don't need anything. But when you really get to the core of what's going on inside, they really do need affirmation from their wife.
They may not be able to articulate the need for affirmation, but you'll hear them say, I just don't feel appreciated.
Yeah.
And so you know that they need it,
Absolutely.
Even though they may not know it.
Yeah, totally. And I think, as we go through these 3 simple but powerful affirmations that we're going to talk about, then at the end, maybe, the guys who are listening can identify, gosh, is it important for me to hear that or not? And be able to share that with their wife.
What kind of difference would that make?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And ladies, if you can really listen through this and say, okay, is there a way, even if we're in a tough season,
right?
Is there a way that I might be able to find an affirmation in one of these 3 areas at least that I could express this coming Father's Day?
Right.
And so we're going to challenge you to do that.
So, honey, these 3 that you're going to talk about, these are affirmations that really speak loudly to you.
Yes, they do. I agree with that.
These are the ones at the top of your list when I speak them to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
Totally. Absolutely.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
let's dive in.
Okay.
What's the first one?
So the first one I can wrap up in just 2 words, and that is you matter. Okay. I think that most of us guys need to know that they're important to the family as a stepdad, as a dad,
Right.
as a husband. Yeah, I remember one time that really stood out to me where I found a little note on my bedside table one night as I was headed to bed, and it said something really simple. It said, "Honey, I respect you as an honorable, trustworthy man with high integrity. Love me." And that was from you, clearly. And wow, that so spoke to my heart. What it said to me is, Mike, you matter. Yeah. Do you remember writing that?
No.
Oh.
I mean, I still believe those things, of
Sure.
course. That was probably a while ago, though. But
It was.
I do like to write you notes. So tell me why those words make you feel that you matter.
Well, I think that you're trying to call out some qualities of my character that you see. And when you share with me that you see these qualities, it says, hey, you matter enough for me to pay attention. You matter enough for me to let you know that I notice these things about you. And you matter because these things make a contribution to our family.
Yeah.
And so those simple words really, really help me to feel like I matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering too, I've told you this many times and probably shared it on the show before, that one of the things that made me fall in love with you was your character. I mean, that was like the first thing I was attracted to you, was around how you carried yourself in the world and how you treated people and your character. So maybe it connects with that as well.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, thanks for those kind words. I appreciate it. You're affirming me right now, and that's really nice. Yeah. Whether we admit it or not, guys tend to need those kind of reminders, even if we work really hard at building our own character, because it keeps us focused on what really matters most a lot of the time. And that is how we carry ourselves, the character we display, the way that we show up for you, the way that we show up for the kids, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And
so ladies, what are those things? What are those positive character traits you see in your husband? And maybe Father's Day would be a good time to let him know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How might you find those character traits and just simply speak them in a way that he can onboard it to say you matter?
Or maybe even go back and remember why you fell in love with him, what you saw in him, and share that with him.
Yeah.
That can be powerful.
That's great.
All right. What's another affirmation, honey, that is right up there on the top of your list?
Yeah, sure. The second one is I'm grateful. I think, again, just 2 simple words. A lot of us want to be macho, right? These macho guys. We kind of have our tough guy persona that we want to be seen as. But I think the truth is that most of us need to know that our wives are grateful for us and what they're grateful for.
Oh, get specific.
Yeah. One occasion, I found another note that you left me. It was taped to my computer monitor this time. And it said, I'm thankful that you are my partner, my friend, and my lover. I was like, whoa, I like that. For more than one reason, right?
Right. It's a little spicy.
Talk about a great affirmation. I mean, I'm generally pretty confident in myself, and I feel like I've done a lot to build my character and work on who I am over time. But sometimes my confidence tanks and sometimes I just run dry. And when you bring affirmation like that of what you're grateful for, it really fills me back up.
Right.
Yeah.
Let you know that you are appreciated.
And, I talk to lots of guys in different arenas.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's couples we serve. Sometimes it's life coaching clients. Sometimes it's just people in my social bubble. And, a lot of those guys are, like I said earlier, we want to be macho. We want to put on the tough guy persona.
The strong, silent type.
Yeah, exactly. But when we get really real, here's what I hear over and over again, that inside they're really yearning to hear this kind of thing from their wives.
Yearning.
And yeah, and I mean, yeah, sure, that's my word. They'll never admit that there's a yearning inside. But from what I hear from these guys, I think it's the best word to describe it.
Maybe it's a need, like the book, his needs.
Exactly.
Or it's a desire, or it's a hole that he needs filled by his wife, and only the wife can do that.
We're so excited to let you know about something brand new we've created just for you.
We've realized that with so many episodes available here on the show, it might feel a bit overwhelming to find the topics that matter most to you. That's why we've created a simple tool for you to receive a personalized playlist focused on your current struggle or your biggest challenge.
That's right. It's called the Blended Family Breakthrough Quiz. You'll answer just a few questions, and based on your responses, we'll email you a curated custom playlist of episodes that are specific to you.
This simple quiz will direct you to the most impactful episodes that pertain to you personally and keep you on track in your journey of discovery, learning, and growth. So, scroll all the way to the bottom of the show notes for this episode and click the link to take the Blended Family Breakthrough Quiz today.
Okay, let's get back to the discussion. Yeah, there's no other relationship in my life that has the power behind the I'm grateful message than it does when you speak it to me.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because it just makes me feel like I'm showing up well. I'm providing, I'm helping, I'm supporting, I'm doing what you need me to do. And you know what? At the end of the day, I really love being able to do that.
Yeah, it makes you feel good knowing that you're doing what you set out to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, ladies, there again, what are you grateful for about the man in your home? And, don't keep this to yourself. You might have a whole list of great things your husband does that you're so grateful for, but you don't ever tell him, or maybe you tell other people, but it never really gets around to him.
Yeah.
Take the time for Father's Day to let him know.
Yeah, tell him directly.
Yeah, and get specific.
And that's such an interesting thing that you just said, because I know we've been in that situation before where you've talked to me about conversations you've had with other people, and you're like, oh, I told him my husband this and my husband that, all these great things. And there's been times where inside I'm like, why don't you ever just say that to me?
You're missing out.
Right? You might tell it to everyone and his brother except for your husband, and that it won't have the same impact.
Yeah.
It won't have the same impact.
Yeah. So let him know.
Yeah, absolutely, that you're grateful.
All right. What's another one?
Okay. So the third simple message that I've identified for myself, but also just as I hear from others, is this simple message of we're in this together.
Partnership.
Absolutely. Nobody wants to go it alone. And blended family life is not for the faint-hearted, and it's not for the individual.
It can feel lonely sometimes.
It can. And I mean, we wanted a partner in the first place. That's why we even got together and decided to get married, right? Family life can just be tough.
Right.
And we all need to know that we're not alone, and we need to be reminded of it sometimes.
Yeah, especially when you're going through a tough season.
Absolutely.
You need to know I'm here for you. I'm in this with you. We're in this together.
Yeah. Another time I found a note. Maybe people are seeing a trend here. But I found another note along the way that just said, Mike, if I had to do it over again, I'd still choose you to be my husband. I love you, Kim.
Oh, I still think that.
I'm so glad. And I would choose you as well. And man, that just so impacted my heart just to know, okay, you really do want to partner with me. And you prove that over and over again. And even though there's times where I'm a pain in the butt, and even though there's times where I'm in pain because we're in disagreement,
right?
I know because of some of the ways that you remind me that you really do choose me and that we're in this thing together, And something as simple as this little note that you left for me just reminded me that, we really are a team. And I don't have to worry that you're, off daydreaming all day about having a different life somewhere else. Although you do have a bit of a celebrity crush on Owen Wilson.
I do.
Okay. Yeah. But I don't think you're sitting daydreaming about
of course not.
having a life with Mr. Wilson. But the truth is, I love knowing that I'm just not alone.
Yeah, through thick and thin, we're in it together, and we're going to press on.
Yeah.
And that's why I wrote you that note, just to let you know that I'm still in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, ladies, when was the last time you told your husband that you've only got eyes for him?
Oh, that's pretty sweet. Only got eyes for him. We're in this together.
Yeah. Father's Day might be the perfect time to let him know that you would still choose him if you had the chance to do it all again, even when it's hard.
So those are 3 simple messages that you might figure out how you would uniquely say that to your man this Father's Day.
Right.
You matter. I'm grateful. And we're in this together. And you probably noticed something, that all of these examples were really simple little notes. I found them in various places over the years. And you do that for me on a somewhat, I'll say, semi-regular basis.
Yes.
But it's one way that you've found to be able to affirm me. And it's so simple, but so impactful.
Yeah. So let's just get honest here.
Okay. Honesty is always good on this show. Yeah, that's what we're after.
And you already know this, honey, but speaking words of affirmation to you is not something that comes naturally.
I do know that.
It just feels corny to me. It feels cheesy to say, I appreciate that you brought home a paycheck.
Well, when you say it like that and you rock back and forth like a cartoon character like I just witnessed.
When I'm thinking, I need to affirm Mike, I know he needs affirmation, it just feels so unnatural to, honey, to say it. And so to meet your need, it's easier for me to write you little notes.
Yeah.
And what I'll do sometimes when I have those moments when I'm just kind of overflowing with gratitude and just, feeling all warm and fuzzy about you, I have a little pad with a whole bunch of sticky notes, and I'll just write a whole bunch out. I'll kind of batch them.
Yeah, batch work.
I do. Yeah, when the moment hits me and I'm really feeling it, because I don't always think of these things.
Yeah.
And it's just not on the tip of my tongue all the time. But if I can get them from my thoughts down on paper, then when I know, I need to give him some affirmation and I want to do this regularly, I have a whole library of wonderful things about you that I can hide around the house.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, it takes some work for me.
Yeah. And I think that's great. I think early on, as I learned that, I was kind of offended by that.
You were?
Yeah, because I thought, why is it so hard to just say something nice to me? Right? That was kind of where my mind went. But when you do it your way, that's when genuineness happens.
Yeah.
And you're not having to make things up and whatnot. And I will say that even in the season that we were struggling, there were times where you wrote me a card or you made some kind of affirmation that said, hey, we're in this together, or whatever, with the words that I needed to hear, even when it was hard to love me.
Yeah.
And it was hard for me to love you.
Yeah.
And so I love that you brought it up, that it doesn't come natural to you, that it's a challenge. I think really on both sides, like we're talking about Father's Day, but the truth is both partners need affirmation.
Absolutely.
And so I want to give encouragement to whoever's listening right now, that even if you're in a season where you're struggling, and maybe you just don't even like each other that much, hey, Kim and I've been there.
We have.
And we've had to figure out ways to find even the smallest affirmation, even in that difficult season. My bet is you have the capacity to do that too. And so I challenge you, as you come up to Father's Day weekend, that you would find a way to just at least say one simple affirmation, and put it in a note, put it in a card, speak it, face to face, whatever works the most genuine for you.
Yeah.
And just keep one of those 3 things in mind, even if it's a difficult season. You matter, I'm grateful, and we're in this together.
You know, honey, I think the reason why it is hard for me is because words of affirmation is not my love language.
Right.
In fact, I'm really uncomfortable receiving words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me to give that is a stretch for
Sure.
me.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I can't still do it in my own way.
Yeah.
And it can still be very impactful.
Absolutely. And that's the whole point of love languages, right? As we learn those, we have to learn to speak a language that we don't necessarily receive. Mm-hmm. And you have been working hard at that over the years, and I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. So Sunday is Father's Day.
It sure is.
So ladies, we just encourage you to honor your man and let him know how important he is in your life and in the life of your children. And just celebrate and honor him.
Yeah, do that.
And have a great time.
Absolutely. Hey, we hope this unique episode brought value to you and it challenged you to do something this weekend as a couple. Really invest in your marriage and invest in your man. And if you're one of those guys who've been listening through this episode and you're just kind of wondering, do those 3 messages really matter to me? Whether they really matter to you or whether they don't. Maybe they don't. And you can express that to your wife. Let her know how she can love you best.
Yeah.
I encourage you to be open about that and really share if you've identified with this. If you didn't, it's okay. Totally get it. Not everybody does.
One thing a friend of mine said to me once is help your spouse to love you better.
That's right.
And we can do that for each other. It's okay to let each other know how they can love you well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hope you have a happy Father's Day. And with that, that makes this episode a wrap.
Until next time.